Have you ever wondered if you could understand a whole community's hopes and dreams just by looking at one single thing from the past? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We are opening a time capsule. Okay, so here it is. Our time capsule is this news bulletin from May 1985. It's from the youth wing of the Singapore Tamil Representative Council. And, this is so much more than just old paper and ink. This is a real window into a specific moment in time, a snapshot of a community completely in motion. As you look through a document like this, one big question just keeps popping up. What were these young people actually trying to build? What was their mission? Let's try to piece together the answer from the clues they left right here for us. Right off the bat, the first thing that jumps out is their dedication to empowering people through knowledge. Their focus was so clearly on building up young minds because they knew that was the foundation for building better futures for everyone. I mean, just look at the cover of the newsletter. The lead story is about this seminar, and they describe it as way more than just a lecture. They saw it as this vital platform for young people to get together, to hash out ideas on important topics, and, maybe most importantly, to really find their own voice. And this wasn't just about talking about big ideas, it was about real, practical, hands-on action. This photo of the tuition project administrators is a perfect example. See, they weren't just running these programs and calling it a day. No, they were constantly meeting to figure out how to make them better, how to really serve the students. And the scope of what they were doing is just, wow, so impressive. They were running a tuition project that stretched across 12 different centers. They offered specialized tutoring for those super important A-level exams. And they went beyond just academics, holding cultural workshops on things like Mother Goddess worship and hosting talks on major social issues. But, it wasn't all books and studying. Not by a long shot. Let's shift gears a bit and see how they brought the whole community together through events and, well, action. I absolutely love this contrast here. On one side, you've got all that energy, the competition, the roar of a huge soccer tournament. And on the other, you have the quiet, focused imagination of a children's storytelling session. It just shows they had this deep understanding that a really strong community needs all kinds of spaces for all kinds of people. So remember that soccer tournament? Yeah, this was not just some small weekend kickabout. The newsletter says the event brought 800 people together. 800! That's a major community gathering. Just think of the organization that took. And behind that huge number, you find these stories of just incredible personal dedication. The article gives us this amazing detail about one of the organizers, a Mr. S. Balagan. He was so committed, he literally spent a sleepless night before the event, just making sure every single detail was perfect. Now that is passion. And the thing is, that huge tournament was just one piece of their packed schedule. In that same time frame, they held a cultural event, an evening of entertainment, those story sessions we saw, and even regular tea parties just so members could give feedback. I mean, the energy is just buzzing off the page. Okay, so we've seen what they were doing, but let's dig a little deeper into the why. What was the philosophy that was driving all this activity? For that, let's hear from the people who were actually there. This right here is a real treasure buried inside the newsletter. It's a page from a member's diary. A young woman named Sumathi actually wrote down her thoughts, giving us this incredibly personal and well-spoken look at the group's mission, straight from the inside. So, how did Sumathi see the youth wing? It's fascinating. She didn't call it a club. She didn't call it an association. She called it a movement. And a movement for everything: social, economic, cultural, educational, even leisure development. It's so clear that this was a truly all-encompassing vision. But what's really powerful, what really hits you, is her deep sense of history and gratitude. She credits the success of the youth wing to the priceless contribution of the older generation. This tells us their work wasn't just for themselves. It was about honoring the past and building on the sacrifices of those who came before. So, after looking through this amazing time capsule from 1985, what's the big takeaway? Could the work of this youth wing actually serve as a kind of blueprint for building a community, even today? When you really boil it all down, their entire strategy seems to rest on these 4 incredibly strong pillars: a relentless focus on education, providing outlets for health and fun through sports, preserving their cultural and religious heritage, and a constant drive for direct community engagement. And they were never, ever complacent. This message here from their membership recruitment unit lays it out plain and simple. Their goal for 1985, reach 1,000 members. They were organized, they were ambitious, and they were always pushing to grow their impact. So, a single newsletter from almost 4 decades ago has shown us this powerful story of vision, dedication, and action. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What are the pillars that we build our communities on today? And what does leadership really look like in your time?